Uh, Morning, everyone. Hoping you're having a great day. It's Grow with Joe here to give you more lessons on how to grow yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. That's what we're doing today. Other days, we help you with your finances, give you questions, hopefully give you tips on how to grow your money, so that when you get older, you're gonna have the resources to help you live your best life. Uh, And to help you with your finances, you got to work on yourself first. Uh, as always, I always like to tell the John Wooden quote: "Your outer circle success will never surpass your inner circle success." So, if you want the outer circle success of your career, your money, and your relationships, you got to work on yourself first. And by working on yourself, one of the valuable things that can happen from that is that you can resolve your problems a lot faster. And yeah, I read a lot. I read a lot of philosophy or Stoic philosophy. Try to get other stuff as well. Like right now, I'm reading Principles by Ray Dalio, and I feel like, oh my God, I think a lot like this guy and how I think and everything. And yeah, he like 70 years old. I'm like, oh, I can learn a lot from this guy and how he runs his business. Like one of my goals here with Grow with Joe is down the line, I want to hire more financial advisors, specifically minority financial advisors, so that we can help people out. I'm a big believer that when you help people with their finances, then or in their self development, then that can lead to a lot of other great things. And the idea is that yeah, that's why I do these things, and I'm always trying to learn from other people so I could save myself a lot of time and money. Like if Ray Dalio does this with his business, he implemented this feedback system where people grade each other and they have radical transparency and radical honesty and everything. And I'm like, oh, that is really interesting. And then he talks about how his like coaching philosophy, managing philosophy, like how you should look at problems. I'm like, huh, that is really good to know because, like I said, I want to create my own financial planning company down the road where I'm hiring minority financial advisors. Only 2% of financial advisors are Latino, and only 2% of financial advisors are Black. So what I'm trying to do is like, okay, let's get more, and then eventually I would like to start my own bank so that I can start financing businesses and providing loans to folks so that they can help them overcome, just like be a better resource for them financially. And then people come to me for financial planning, and I can offer them banking services, and then other things like I have a plan and on what I want to do. So I'm working on it, and yeah, it's year one, and that's just what I'm doing. Every day I'm doing something to help me get a little bit better towards my goal and everything. As key thing is you can't speed things faster than you can't make things faster than they're going to come, but you also can't slow down either. So you just have to keep the pace, keep going, and when you're going, you're going to come across problems. So I came across this one Warren Buffett saying is like, "Hey, we're all going to have problems." Like Warren Buffett has, I think it was Warren Buffett, or maybe someone's just comparing. Warren Buffett has problems, and the single mom with two kids working a minimum wage job also has problems. Like Warren Buffett has to worry about his investors and losing billions of dollars in bad investments, while the mom has to worry about like, hey, how am I going to survive and everything, and take care of my kids, and or it could be the single dad. It really like they both have problems, um, but like you gotta ask yourself which problems do you want to have. Well, I probably would rather have the Warren Buffett problems, but like to have those type of problems, um, it takes a lot of privilege. Pressure is a privilege where like you don't like losing $25 billion in one day because the stock market crashes can be really stressful. Like I don't know how many people would know that type of pressure unless you're privileged enough to be in that position to have that. So realize like there's always going to be problems and different needs and everything. Like Warren Buffett probably has to deal with like people constantly asking for his attention and everything. Which then if he answers everybody, then it's going to take away from his family and his other things that he enjoys doing as a person. So you do like there's different problems. Like definitely Warren Buffett has champagne problems, but to like handle those champagne problems, you have to have the right emotional and mental resilience to not be pulled away from what your main focus on. The person who's like the single parent raising two kids and everything, they have an income problem, and maybe they have like a human capital problem where they don't have the skills, and maybe they don't have the skills because of their parents raised them up or the school system that they had. Like Warren Buffett, like his dad was a congressman. I think his dad was in the representative. He lived in D.C. for a while, and he grew up in Nebraska and everything. He didn't grow up in the. I don't know. His dad was a business owner. His dad was into the stock market, so I guess that's how he got in the stock market. That's been probably the main reason why Warren Buffett got in the stock market. But the idea is that, yeah, those you're gonna have problems no matter what type of problem where you are in life. You're gonna have problems. I have problems I have to deal with. The key thing is I'm trying to make them 5-minute problems. And the way to make them 5-minute problems is the first way is you got to have resources. So you got to work on your human capital, your social capital, and your financial capital. Like the average person has $2,000 in unexpected expenses every year. So you should probably be wise that you're saving at least like $150 a month if you can for your sink fund. Your sink fund is going to be like, hey, dryer's broken, car broke down. Oh, I have to go to the doctor for this. Hey, it's not a big problem. I can handle it. And then just realize that's just part of life. Is supposed to happen, and just be prepared. Try to get it prepared as fast as possible for the next one. Your human capital, you got to work on you got to learn how to make good decisions, and with your environment. Like, okay, not every dollar is created equally. So how can you spend your next hour on the thing that's going to give you the most control and flexibility over your life? You do that, and then life is going to be a lot easier. If you have a good social network because you join clubs, you reach out to people and everything, then that can, like, when times get tough, you can reach out to this person like, hey, can I ask you a question? Hey, can you give me your feedback on these things? Hey, can you make an introduction? Like those, by having those resources socially, that can really help you get things done a lot faster. So you got to have resources. If you want to turn a 5-minute problem, a year-long problem into a 5-minute problem, you got to have resources. If you don't have those resources, start working on a way to get you up there to socially help you out. Take Jordan Harbinger's course, 6-minute networking. You're going to learn a lot. It just requires you to reach out to people on a daily basis. I try to reach out to 5 people on a daily. Haven't been doing it well over the last couple of days, but I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do it tomorrow. My goal is to do it tomorrow, and the goal is to do at least 90% of my time. So help you think that better, read lots of books, this podcast. I have a book called More You Know, More You Grow, How to Get Better Every Day. Just lots of different tips on how to help you make better decisions and grow your inner circle. And then financially, just hopefully then you use those 2 skills to get you land you a job. So then you have a healthy margin where you're like, hey, I'm making $40,000 a year, and instead of making $25,000 a year, and now I can take more of that money and save it. The key thing is you don't want a lifestyle inflation where now you're spending $25,000, now you're spending $40,000. Hey, the goal is maybe half of that. Now I'm spending $32,000. I'm taking the other $8,000 as well. So that's a good rule of thumb: is every time you get a pay raise, take half of that, apply it toward your financial plan where you're putting money in investments and savings, and then you put the other towards your standard of living. So to help you get over problems, you just have to have resources. The other way to help you get over problems faster is just be courageous and be bold. There's lots of, you don't want a nagging problem to go along too far. Like I have back issues. If I was just to let it go and not address it, it's going to cause me a lot of problems down the road when I'm 60 years old and everything. So I got to make sure I do all my exercises. So I got to address it right now. I can't let it go. Like it's annoying. I could feel it, but it's not preventing me from doing anything I really want to do. But like it could really set me back down the road. That's what I see by being looking at things prospectively about my entire life, not just what I see right now at age 34. And so, like at work and everything, that problems, you just have to address it. A lot of these problems, we have that fortune mind setting where we're like, hey, I want this person, I'm thinking this way, and I want this person to think, but I'm not communicating with this person. So they're never going to read your mind. People are not mind readers. You have to actually communicate with people to let them know, like, hey, this is what my expectations are. This is what I need to be fixed, or this is how I'm feeling. This is how I'm feeling flustered. So you have to be bold and courageous in letting people know your expectations. You could be a jerk about it, or you could be very tactful about it and be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm seeing. This is kind of like what I would like to have happen. How can we fix things? And then you just take it from there and just be communicating. And then if things don't work out and they're not willing to change, maybe it's time to make a change and like switch. And then you have to be courageous and bold to realize, like, hey, I'm going to have to deal with this uncertainty for a little bit while I'm dressing this thing. And just imagine, like, it's going through the fires. Like when you're going through the fires, you'll feel a lot of heat and everything's going to be uncomfortable. But what happens is when you go through that fire by being bold and courageous, you're going to get rid of all the impurities. That's how you make steel. Like you take the iron ore, you put it into high heat and you like make it really hot and you remove all the impurities and everything. Same thing. Like if you could do that, if you can address a problem right there at the source, it could prevent a lot of problems down the road. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Addressing a small issue with the business or relationship right there can prevent bigger problems. Like if you're in a relationship, if you resolve a small issue right there, then it could take 5 to 30 minutes. Or if you let it go for 10 years, hey, that can end up in a messy divorce that's going to last a couple of years and take a lot of years off your life. So don't make that. I would recommend that people don't go down that path. And the other way to get over your problems is you got to be resourceful. The way to be resourceful is you got to be good at pattern recognition. I like playing chess, and the key thing about chess is you have to understand patterns. Chess masters can see a board and they can see what is going on that board, and they're like, oh, I should make this move, I should do this, I should protect myself over here and everything. And the idea is that, you got to be able to be resourceful. To do that, you have to be resourceful. So you have to be exposed to many different ideas and thoughts and everything. So you'd be like, hey, I'm in this situation right here, and I heard this person did this thing over here. I should go to them and be like, hey, I need to do this to help me out. And then you're going to win the game. I was listening to this really good podcast. I can't remember the podcast, but I think it was Freakonomics, where they talk about memory and everything. And they're talking about Sean McVay, the coach of the LA Rams. Like, he can recall a play like 5 years ago. And he's like, yeah, that's what happened. This is who caught the ball. This is the play that was run. This is the defense that happened. And he can like recall that information really fast. So when he's in a game coaching, he'll be like, hey, I see what's going on. We've been in this situation. I'm going to tell my players to do this, and then trust them to do what is the best thing for them. And then he was like one of the youngest coaches to make it to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So you just got to realize, like, hey, how can I be resourceful in recognizing this problem? Like when I was in past relationships, I'm like, okay, what are the books I need to read to help me figure out how to create the best relationship? Hey, when it comes to working out, what are the best things I could do to help me out? to make sure that I have good posture and do all these other things, and just any part of my life, financial planning. I'm like, hey, read the book, best books, and you can turn those problems into 5-minute problems, and then hopefully eventually you get champagne problems. You're like, oh, what? How do I not spend all this money or whatever that problem is? Or like, oh, which charity do I give my money to? Like, those are champagne problems. Those are the type of problems you want. You don't want to have stressful problems. But yeah, that's how I would help you get over, make things into problems. Like, hey, you got to be resourceful. You got to be courageous and bold. So you have to have that, take the action that could be uncomfortable to help you address the problem right at the source or as soon as possible. And then you also have to be resourceful in the sense that you can see patterns and you can think about ways to like, hey, how do I pivot out of this situation? So if you want a free copy of my book, More You Know, More You Go, the audio version, you can just go to growwithjoe.me/book book, and you can download it right there. If you want to buy the paper copy or the digital copy, it's on Amazon. Just look up my name, Joe Bautista. More You Know, More You Grow. It's right there. So hope you enjoyed today's lesson. I'll be here tomorrow to talk about financial planning. Enjoy the rest of your day. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.